The title of this podcast is The Librarian. What I am clear about since I started to do a gratitude practice in earnest 10 years ago is there is a person that I cross paths with every single day who I can express gratitude for. And earlier this week, I have a person who really stood out. I'm thankful for everybody on a regular basis, and they're part of my daily gratitude practice. On this particular day, I was working on a research project, and it involved writing the manuscript and using a software application that I had no experience using before. There were physician leaders who were waiting on me to complete my part of the manuscript, um, so that we can submit it and hopefully get it accepted into a medical journal. But a key component of this manuscript was making sure that the references that we were using to provide evidence for the paper had been were accurate, and they had been cited correctly, and any discrepancies from before, since we've made several changes over the last couple of months, that those were reconciled. And so here I am with a software that I've never used before. So staying calm and peaceful, knowing that it's an opportunity to use the growth mindset and learn the software, I sat down and began what a lot of people do in this country is go to the internet and learn how to do it. So I consulted YouTube, found a couple of videos, and while they gave a brief overview about how to use the software, it wasn't enough to where I could take it from there and do a really, really good job with it. And I didn't want to go and talk to the physicians about it, not because I was embarrassed about not knowing how to do it or asking for their help, but because I knew that they had enough on their plate with patient care and entering in the notes from the day of taking care of patients, plus all their leadership responsibilities, that I didn't want to bring this to them. They trusted me with it, and I was going to do my part to complete the task. So I reached out to one of my colleagues who is also a physician that I don't work with to ask for the phone number of a physician who just recently was promoted to professor. And professor of medicine is kind of a big deal. That means that you have published over 70 manuscripts that are associated with research. So it's a big deal, and that takes a lot of work. And a lot of physicians I get to hang out with have reached full professor. 70 is a big number. I mean, in my young career at Mayo Clinic, I'm up to 4. So if that's something that is a goal for me, I've got a little bit of work to do. Fortunately, I've got some good friends like John DeCuna and others who are helping me on that path. John DeCuna, Jonathan Layden, Cynthia Stunnington, they've been really great about including me on research with them. So that has certainly helped. So I reached out to this colleague to get the phone number for someone who had just become full professor. And just weeks before, I expressed to him my interest in really improving my research skills, my chops. And he said, absolutely. So I knew that he would be open to the conversation. But in doing so, the person who I was trying to get the number through told me that that physician probably doesn't do their own annotations, that I should reach out to the librarians. And I'm very fortunate and grateful to work in an organization like Mayo Clinic, to where they have librarians on staff. And so I reached out to this librarian, and her name was Diana. After about 20 seconds of sharing with her what my situation was, she could not have been more excited to help me. And so we scheduled an appointment. But even before we did that, I just felt like such relief. Not that I was stressed, but I felt like there was a plan in place about how to complete this task. And so she sat with me on Monday for 2 hours as she taught me how to use this software. And literally, this is if you teach a person how to fish, you'll never have to feed them again. They can do it themselves. That's the gift that she gave me. So I am, expressing to all of you an immense amount of gratitude for Diana, who works at Mayo Clinic and is a librarian. And I'm so grateful that she's a part of the team there. Now, this is my story about a librarian. But there are people that I'm sure that are in your lives every single day that if you slow down for just a minute, they do something that you could express gratitude for, something that they do for you. Whether you're in the OR and it's a patient who scheduled that surgery months ago, but when you see the patient on your calendar, send out a silent thank you or even a written note for the scheduler who made that possible. If you are going to work and you pass a receptionist desk or any place that you go into, there's likely someone who got there early, opened the doors, and prepared the space for you to come into, to come to work. No matter what the job is, there's probably somebody that got there a little bit before you do that keeps the place nice and tidy and clean. Thank them for that. The cashier who always says hello or good evening, they don't have to do that. All they're supposed to do is ring you up. That's something to be grateful for. There's so many kindnesses that people do for us on a regular basis that we either take for granted or that we minimize that kind act. And so I encourage you, if you really want to be a person who sprinkles kindness in the world everywhere you go, gratitude can help make that a regularly occurring behavior that you perform everywhere you go. So this is to the librarian, in my case, and to the librarians who are in your life.